Hello all, Rick here with a video on the Nicor class cruiser, known more commonly as the Species 8472 bioship. This thing proved to be one of the greatest puzzles to the Borg, alongside their owners, and were some of the most formidable ships encountered by the USS Voyager on its cruise back home. The name is drawn from Apocrypha and was designated by Starfleet as the Old English words for water demon. Additionally, Species 8472 also gets referred to as the Undine in other licensed works outside of the shows, another water spirit of folklore, so if I refer to them as that, that's where that comes from. So, firstly, on to their origins behind the scenes. The initial idea for the bioship was for it to be a bulbous, squid-like organism, minus tentacles. However, it did need to look like it could fly adroitly and have some appendage to allow it to latch onto a Borg Cube that it was to be found affixed to. Steve Berg designed the ship in 1997. These concepts evolved into the more narrow design that we have, as the ship retained some of those spherical elements, and the overall shape, when the fins are retracted, sort of resembles a form of marine life. The strange nature of these ships, and their pilot species, was already established going in, and we can see elements of them reflected in the vessels themselves, especially the use of threefold rotational symmetry to mirror 8472's 3 legs. I like it. It suggests that trios are as common to the Undine as symmetry is to us. So, moving on to the in-universe and extra fluidy realm of lore. The bioship of Species 8472 is not a unique find among the stars, but definitely a rare one. It's not unknown for alien cultures to develop a form of biotechnology. Even Starfleet experimented with its bioneural technology in its computer cores to great success. However, it is rare for an entire ship to be organic in nature, considering the harsh environment of space. Nevertheless, Cosmozoa, spaceborne lifeforms like the star jellies or Gormagander, go to show that it is possible within nature and tech to have such life exist. The Undine, however, are residents of fluidic space, a reality outside our own, which consists almost entirely of a matter medium instead of stars, even if it's not exactly densely packed together like an ocean. Their ships, therefore, were designed to work in this area, yet apparently also operate perfectly fine in a complete vacuum, as do their pilots. The bioships themselves share DNA markers with their creators and even appear to have some of the same organic traits, with the focus on 3s and the brown hue. Many detailed readings were taken from the bioships from internal scans, and so we know quite a bit about them. Witnessed in 2373 and 4, the bioships are likely the ongoing method of travel for 8472 and begin life as a small embryo pod which literally grows into their form. The complex internal systems are supported by bone-like structures hard as duranium and cartilaginous material for the hull. Snaking throughout the walls of the vessel is both a nervous system which operates from nodes within the ship, responsible for status and conveying information, as well as the electrodynamic power grid. Pipes transport a charged organic fluid, which replaced the EPS power grid of most ships, with neuropeptides converged in binary matrices, replacing a computer core. No central point for a power source was located, but they do have one, and a transmuter core was found within, into which matter is deposited. From here it is then translated into energy or other useful materials akin to a replicator, but one dedicated to the ship's operations and fuel. Each vessel contained only a single pilot, who sat in the midst of a bunch of these control nodes, and flew the vessel using both displays and telepathy inherent to the Species 8472. This mental connection to their vessel meant that it could react and sense things at the speed of thought, and 8472's minds were generally quicker than humans. The ships look to be around 200 meters long, but things like deck layout are harder to quantify, as it seems to consist more of snaking corridors than defined floors. So we'll go with one squiggly deck. The hull was resistant to most energy weapons fire thanks to the strange nature of the carapace. Exactly how it diminished attacks warrants further examination, but the alien owners are not exactly cooperative in that regard. Even if damage made it through, the ship can heal itself rapidly, even entering a power-conserving mode to dedicate more time to healing, similar to Borg's regeneration or sleeping. The amazing hull was also impervious to both scanners, transporter signals, and, strangely, tractor beams were also unable to grasp a hold of it. This could be a matter of sheer power breaking a beam, but yeah, a tractor beam failed to find purchase. Additionally, they had deflector shields that were robust enough to deflect Borg weapons fire. The only weakness uncovered were Voyager's Borg-modified nanoprobe weapons that attacked Species 8472's cells, and could kill them gradually. As the ships were organic, the same nanoprobes worked on these vessels too. When at warp, 3 rear fins extended. Presumably they contained whatever they used for warp coils, and the ship could set off, reaching factors that could keep up with the Borg Cube outside of transwarp, meaning that it could attain warp 9.99. While the transmuted core provided materials and could generate fuel, this took the form of a matter-antimatter mix, similar to most ships. This means that the vessel also had all the magnetic containment and reaction chamber parts associated with a warp core, we just don't know where. Likely around these 3 rear arches, however, if not the structures themselves. Additionally, the vessels can generate a localized quantum singularity, which was used to fold space and puncture a rift into fluidic space, allowing for them to retreat to their realm if needed. A concern of this was that they could likely open these rifts anywhere from their side with little warning, and thus bypass most defences. Although we never saw one in atmospheric flight, it is likely that they could, considering their native medium of travel was denser than space, and if an Intrepid-class starship, which can land on planets, can adapt to fluidic space, then the bioships probably could in reverse too. In terms of armaments, they actually had several, although they were all located in the 4 array. The main weapon was a large biopulse energy emitter which fired out a crackling beam of energy. This beam could be guided somewhat and was not a direct line like a phaser stream. This means that you could guide it around a target to strike at weak spots, and it unleashed enough destructive power to shred a Borg Cube before they could even begin to regenerate or adapt. It had 2 anti-proton beam arrays and 2 bioplasmic warhead launchers, all forward-facing. The final trick of these ships was that they could combine their power sources by channeling all of their firepower into a single directing vessel and letting off a magnified blast that was more than just 8 times as powerful. In fact, it was strong enough to destroy an entire planet, which, depending on planet, would be around 200 to 1000 nonillion joules of energy. Okay. It's suggested that their organic nature is the secret to their robustness. With all the self-healing and adaptation life brings, it means you can push a system in certain areas, as well as watch it compensate. Which makes me think, do they get more powerful the older they get, like building muscle? And for that matter, do they have a life expectancy? Thanks for watching this video breaking down the bioships of Species 8472. It's certainly a strange vessel, and while we get a good look at it, there are still blind spots in how it operates, which is purposeful, although I'd like to uncover more for sure. I'd overall like to see a return of the species, even if it's just a catch up on what, if any, contact has been with the Federation since their decision to attempt to infiltrate it. I'm assuming they did not, otherwise we'd have yet another compromised Starfleet storyline, but I wonder if 8472 took advantage of the Borg's weakness caused by Voyager. Either way, that's all for this one. Thanks again, I've been Rick, and goodbye.